This is Ari Rivera, and I am an advice columnist. Last week, I came at you with the topic of love. This week, it is pertaining to relationships, but more so the broken people in relationships. As men and women, we all make mistakes. It is part of our DNA, I'm afraid. In order to interact successfully with one another, there's always a level of acceptance we as people must contain. Finding your counterpart in that other person can at times be an impossible task. Even more so is admitting that you found it, but having the hardest time holding on to it. As couples, we need to accept the fears of your other, even if they have yet to grasp that fear in themselves. Being someone's rock is a job not for the faint of heart. We all know this. It requires dedication and an inner strength that must be tapped into quite frequently. One of the hardest relationships to have is one that consists of two broken people. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. These relationships are the ones that will test your mightiness more than any other. But unlike any other, if successful, will be the most rewarding. I will be honest with you, these relationships, in being the hardest of them, rarely last. It takes two dedicated people to fight not only their own issues, but the issues of their counterpart. Loving someone that is broken by a past experience or present one is extremely difficult. It takes more than the constant "I love you" for these people to believe that they are loved. For most, this very saying, "I love you," has been used and abused so much by others that to them it no longer holds its value. It isn't enchanting anymore. Most broken relationships are due to what I call a trust tragedy. I say tragedy because, let's face it, when you put all your trust into that one person and it is broken, you feel as though your world has ended. Hit by a train, gasping for air, crying till you feel drained. All of these phrases come to mind when someone has broken your trust that you love. This is no small issue. When breaking that bond of trust, you have just molded a person's influence and actions on their relationships for the rest of their lives. Didn't think you could do that, huh? For example, one of the most common of trust issues among relationships, young or old, is cheating. When you cheat, you decide to put your love behind you. You have shifted your focus from the person you love to the temptation of something else. Most of us have just seen the Tyler Perry Temptation movie. Although the dramatism of the cinema may be slightly different from most cases, the effects are just as heart-wrenching. The tragedy still remains. As a person in a relationship with another broken by trust, it is wise to keep this person from feeling insecure, not only of themselves, but of you. They will in fact be on the lookout for mistakes all the time. Like I said before, the person who broke their trust molded them and their actions in all relationships they will have with people here on out. They will accuse you or imply that you are dishonest, sometimes based on merely a trigger to that emotional sense. These are the times you as a person need to be patient and keep strong. Now, this is not to say you must withstand this discredit to your character all the time. No one expects you to, but understand that the person you love does not in fact think of you this way. This is a product of their past. Your job is to make sure their trust issue not be repeated by you. You must protect them from this fear by being there for them emotionally. They will resist at first, but persistence is key. Remind them of how you admire their strength for moving on from such a tragedy and comfort them. Romantic gestures for no reason are a sweet trick to show them you are honored to be with them at all times. Another example of brokenness is abuse. A person who has been abused either physically or emotionally has also withstood a tragedy. But this is to one's personal view on themselves. These people have been either told or been physically imprinted on that they are not good enough or lack any sense of worth. When a person abuses another person, they have not only broken a trust issue, but In some cases, they find a sense that this is complete normalcy in relationships. Or they have relationships where self-esteem and constant insecurity is a daily issue. These are the times to show restraint when pointing out imperfections. Now, this is not to say dish compliments that like they're M&Ms at a Christmas party, but rather be more accepting of minor flaws. A person that has experienced one extreme does not need to experience the complete opposite extreme for their ego. This isn't healthy, nor is it doesn't help factually with the portrayal of oneself or self-esteem. With these broken people, it is best to offer comfort and set a mild temperament. Though these people may appear to have a hard exterior, a quick trigger to that emotional state with forcefulness can send them into regress. Or they themselves can react in a hostile manner. Also, these types of people, at times, are prone to drama. Whatever horrific experience they had was in fact dramatic and was a way of life for them at one time. A relationship that shows a sense of peace is almost unnatural to them. Don't stop the peace. Keep that sense of laid-back persona because they truly need it despite their efforts to create something otherwise. And lastly, relationships with abandonment issues are common as well. These people tend to trust no one for fear that they will walk away at some point anyway. They usually have commitment issues or find it hard to become attached emotionally. If this person does in fact become emotionally attached, it is a huge step and one not to be taken lightly. These people will also frequently test your loyalty. Not so much in a cheating on them way, but yet a being there for them way. Also, the more someone fails a test, the more the person feels as if there is something wrong with themselves. Self-esteem is like a huge issue in these relationships. They ask questions to themselves such as, why does everyone leave me? What is it about me that is not worthy of unconditional loyalty and love? Why do I keep giving my all and only getting a fraction in return? Until it becomes no longer a question, but yet a state of mind. They actually will think themselves not worthy and deserving of such things and become the quintessential doormat. They think of themselves as bad people and keep themselves in that category and often punish themselves by continuing in relationships that lack comfort and loyalty. As their counterpart, it is best to understand that no test is too small. Sometimes being there in an emotional way is all it takes. Little gestures matter to these types of people. Holding their hand, rubbing their head, holding them and stroking their back while they cry, a kiss, a simple kiss to the forehead. These areas of the body trigger emotional warmth. Affection is a huge part of success in these types of relationships. Nurturing. In knowing what type of relationship you have, you both can better understand one another. Brokenness, though for some hard to believe, is not permanent. It takes one person to show them consistently otherwise. Unfortunately, there are very few up for the task. Like I said, these relationships are the hardest, most exhausting, but are the most rewarding. I say most rewarding because when a person goes from feeling any of the things I mentioned to having peace and unconditional, consistent love in their life, they embrace it. And essentially, both parties give everything to one another. It becomes something remarkable, an unbreakable love. That concludes the topic for today on broken relationships or broken people in relationships. Hit me up next week. I'll have something fresh and new for you. All right? Thanks. This is Ari Rivera signing out, advice columnist.